When I found my language, I initially found it much easier to make animalia or bird forms by simplifying the forms, by working in a more linear way than I did with the human form. I suppose I had a very academic training at art schools, and that stuck there more, anatomy, life drawing, all that sort of thing, and it's sort of ingrained that I suppose the principle that I work by in my workshop it's very simple. There's either a rightness or a wrongness, and if I don't feel comfortable that there is a rightness to what I'm doing, then I have to have the courage to really hack into it, major stuff, rather than try and gloss it over or cover it up by some other means. I'm very restless. I'm always looking. Spend a lot of time walking the dogs, and we live in a beautiful place here, right on the edge of the cliff there. And when I'm walking the dogs, I'm often on rough footpaths. I'll stumble over something stupid because I'm looking at birds, taking the things in that you naturally, that you see, but observing them more precisely. The way a bird, when they come out of a gliding stance into using thermals and that sort of thing, transition from when gulls and ravens do it. You see them going, they glide down on the thermals, just in a long, slow glide, and then they'll go into a spiral, and it's just magical. It really is. You've got to wish you were up there with them. It is the way those airborne forms can relate to each other and then open out and those sort of things. Particularly with ravens. There are lots of ravens here now, and you see them, the way they interact with each other and the way they respond to each other in the perched attitudes, the way they tilt and acknowledge each other, and sometimes it's in threat stances. I might not be aware that I'm actually storing it, but I am storing those images. I then use it in my own particular way when they come out, but there's an awareness. I do hope that particularly the animalia stuff that I do is realistic in the sense that it catches the attitude. It's a statement about that particular animal or bird that I've observed, and maybe I want to exaggerate or something, but I think it's something valid and it has to be expressed. My interest in the bull as a subject was partially because there were bulls out in the fields. Dairy farmers ran a bull with the cows, what they call a catch bull, so that it caught any cows that were ready to be served that had been missed or returned to AI. So there were always big bulls out there, and they're powerful. Even nowadays, the beef sort of bulls, they're full of energy and power, and well, it's a hormone thing, isn't it? They're sort of bursting with it. To use my manner of working to express what I feel about bulls, about not just being heroic, but being everything. It's not an entrapment, but it's a way of expressing the male thrust in that animal that is so obvious, and to try and express that. So it's a vital image that I'm trying to produce. If I'm making a bull, I'm looking for a vital image. It's not going to be an image that people will ignore. Farming is not that dissimilar from making sculpture, because I made a hell of a lot of things, making things. It sounds really stupid to say that when you're ploughing a field you're making sculpture, but you're moving hundreds of tons of earth. Eat your heart out, you installationists. I was doing it on big scales, 30 acres at a time, and moving perhaps 1,000 tons of earth, and to see the lines that the plough was making through it. And of course, there's huge flocks of birds that used to come in. If the plough hit a stone, it would jump out of the ground. I'd be so interested in the bloody birds that I was going along and the plough was up in the bloody air. From a vantage point, to look at birds from a tractor cab, because they had no fear of a tractor at all, and you got so close to things. I suppose I became acutely aware of the beauty of that little print there, that's absolutely about ploughing, as the gulls and the crows come in, straight after the plough and make these incredible patterns. I'm very much aware of it, but what I'm doing, what I hope I'm doing in some sense, being aware of an audience, is subconsciously giving their eyes a journey through it. If you look at the construction of that, how all the changes are moving forward, the way the surface texture is manipulated is deliberate, is very deliberate, in the way that I want to, I don't know if the word is smart enough is the right word, but I've got good enough at manipulating it to be able to alter the perception, the viewer's perception or my perception of the form, by the way that that texture is applied to it. I can accentuate or flatten out a form or make it do something else, and how it relates to the next form by the way texture is. It's very important. I spend as much time on the final texture, on the plasters, as I do on the actual making. It's a very deliberate process, and to me it's very important, to me personally. When the human figure is related to animals, there is an element of fun about that, of just joy in a sense. It doesn't have to be po-faced, that there can be an element of exhilaration, just the joy of it all, and there is that in it. It's a sort of a fun thing. It doesn't have to be all deadly serious, does it?